But the path of elevating a trait towards love and craving for the holy elevates everything else. So Parshat VaYehi, the Sodomer here is bringing up an issue, a question, a philosophical question about how do we develop ourselves spiritually? How do we grow? Spiritual work, it can be done in two different ways, or you could say the angle of attack. I don't know if that's a term that comes from, I guess, from aviation, but it seems appropriate here. Do I first remove all the obstacles, or my internal obstacles, my unuseful traits, you would say, or do I just take everything and elevate it? And there's an interesting philosophical debate. There's one side, there's the risk of spiritual bypassing. On the other side, there is the risk of indulging in the negative. And Parshat VaYehi presents that issue, according to the Slonimer, in a very interesting way. And let's jump right in to it. For those of you who have the book and are following along, we are in Parshat VaYehi in Netivot Shalom on page Shin Zayin, and we will skip a little bit to page Shin Tet on the left column, the paragraph that is marked as Gimel. But let's start on Shin Zayin with Aleph, and here we go. וישלח ישראל את ימינו וישת על ראש אפרים והוא הצעיר ואת שמאלו על ראש מנשה. So he starts with quoting from the Parsha, and the Parsha describes a curious interaction and incident where Joseph is bringing both of his sons, Ephraim and Menashe, to Jacob for a blessing. And describes the scene as follows. And Israel, or Jacob, reached his right hand, and put it on the head of Ephraim, v'hu hatzayir, and he is the young one, v'et smolo al rosh Menashe, and his left hand on the head of Menashe. Shikel et yadav ki Menashe ha-bechor. Thus he had crossed his hands, his right hand going to the left side, and his left hand going to the right side, as Menashe was the older one. And Menashe gets Jacob's left hand on his head. Vayivarech et Yosef, vayomer Elokim, vayomer. And Jacob blessed Joseph. Notice this because it's an important, it's interesting discrepancy in the text. He's not blessing Joseph, he's actually blessing his sons. But we'll see how this is important. Vayomer, and he said, Elokim asher italchu avotai lefanav, Avram v'Yitzchak, the God that my forefathers Abraham and Isaac walked before, Elokim haroeh oti me'odi ad hayom hazeh, the God who has shepherded me, who has guided me from the day of my birth till today, Hamalach hagoel oti mikol ra, the angel who has protected me from all harm. Yivarech et hane'arim, that one should bless the young boys. V'ikabem, they should be an extension of my name, of my legacy. V'shem avotai Avram v'Yitzchak, and the legacy of my forefathers Abraham and Isaac, v'yidgu larov b'kerv haaretz, and they should proliferate on the land. V'achar ken ktiv, following is Joseph's response. Vayomer Yosef el aviv, and Joseph says to his father, Lo chen avi, this is not right, father. Ki zeh bechor v'gomer, you put your left hand on the older one and your right hand on the younger one. That is not right. The older one should receive your right hand blessing, which is considered the stronger blessing, the primary blessing. Vayamein aviv, and his father Jacob refused. Vayomer yadati b'ni yadati, he says, I know this, my son, I know this. I'm doing it consciously, I'm doing it deliberately. Gamu yeh le'am gadol v'yigdal. Your older son, your firstborn son Menashe, he also will be a great nation. Ulam achiv hakatan yigdal mimeno, but his younger brother will be greater than him. That's why I'm putting my right hand on the younger one, on Ephraim. It's a curious interaction here. Jacob is blessing, and Joseph is correcting him. That in and of itself is interesting. How dare, the son, argue with the father? Is that instructive? The Sonomer here is going to tell us that this is very instructive in terms of how do we grow spiritually? How do we continue to walk the path that is leading toward the perfection of who we are into the level of Joseph. Remember that Joseph is Tzaddik Yesod Olam. Joseph is the archetype of the righteous person. Somebody who's attained that kind of wholesomeness, that kind of perfection. That for those of us who are seeking spiritually, he's a role model. ויש לומר בזה דהנה העניין שיוסף נתחלק לבית שבטים, מנשה ואפרים. So here we can look at Joseph as someone who was divided. His energy, his archetype is divided into two parts, two tribes, Menashe and Ephraim. In other words, in the 12 tribes of Israel, there is no tribe of Joseph. They're rather the two tribes of his two sons, Ephraim and Menashe. But Joseph is unique. Joseph is not mentioned as a tribe, but rather his two sons, Ephraim and Menashe, form two different tribes in the scheme of the 12. But get this, Joseph here, the archetype of the righteous one, actually his legacy extends in two different aspects, Menashe and Ephraim. So what is it about being a righteous person or being a highly developed person that is a split? Is that instructive? ולא נמצא כן בשאר השבטים, והוא כאיתה בדברי שמואל. במידה של יוסף יש בה שתי חלקים. This shows that Joseph's energy, Joseph's sephira, the Kabbalistic scheme of the sephirot, the sephira of Yesod, of foundation, is divided into two. Sur mira v'aseh tov. One is avoid evil or avoid negativity. In other words, this is where we are called upon to work through our psychology and work through our attitude to avoid that which is not right. That's one aspect. V'aseh tov, the other aspect is, and do good. Be proactive. Seek out to create an input of proactively infusing goodness into reality. So one is avoiding negativity and the other is actively pursuing the positive. Those are the two aspects of the righteous person. Menashe, who was the older one, he holds the energy of Sur Mira, avoid negativity, abstinence, and work on oneself, polish oneself, work through towards diminishing bad habits, bad traits, right? That is the deep work of self correction and self perfection and self improvement. So his name comes from Nashani Elokim is God has drawn me out from. This is what Leah, when she names him, his mother Leah, when she names him, she says, "I'm naming him Menashe because God has Nashani." It comes from the word Nashani, Mikol Amani v'Kol Beit Avi, that I've been pulled away from the negativity in my life, from my struggles and from the oppression of my father's household. Ve'Ephraim ineno aseh tov. But the energy of Ephraim is different, as Leah, when she's naming him, the intentionality of the name is much different. Hifrani Elokim be'eretz oni. God has impregnated me in the land of my impoverishment. Shegam be'eretz oni b'tochei avot hifrani Elokim b'aseh tov. That even in the midst of my impoverishment, a seed for a new life, a seed for something great has been planted. So one is the negative, is the pulling out and pulling away and abstaining, and the other is impregnating, planting something, being proactive, creating something new, even within the context of difficulty. See, there's two different energies. We're going to turn now to page Shintet. As you're walking your spiritual path and working towards a greater development and greater improvement, where do you spend more of your energy? You spend more of your energy working on your of improving the places where you are failing and trying to change traits that trip you up? Are you focused on past trauma, on shortcomings? Are you struggling to overcome those? Is that where your focus is? Hoping that as you clear that up and heal, the traits that are obstacles, that are not useful for you, that you'll be better. You'll have a better life. You'll be happier. You'll have more to give to others. You'll be a better person in the world. You'll be closer to God. You'll be more spiritual. You'll have more time to actually deepen your spirituality. That's one side of the equation. Or do you focus on taking the challenges that come your way and transforming them into positive? Are you focusing on building more of a capacity to have an open heart, a capacity to be more calm, to be more centered, to be to build the ability to be bigger than your internal challenges or even external challenges, right? Where is the focus? Is the focus on correcting what's broken, or is the focus on building new capacities that are stronger and bigger and better, more satisfying and more useful? Let's jump right in. ויש להסביר את עניין בית החלקים במידתו של יוסף באופן הזה. And we should explain the split of Joseph's Sephira as a quality that has actually two different parts. יש עקירת הרע מוטבע באדם. There is the uprooting of the negative that is embedded in a person. We're all born with our internal challenges. According to this thinking, I think, as an educator, I see that when I look at young kids, they all have different qualities for both for good and for bad. And you wonder why is a kid so wild? Or why is a kid? There's something that's embedded that we come into the world with, with a set of challenges. We're gifted with those challenges. It's inherent. As it is written that the impulses of in a man's consciousness are negative all the way from childhood, already from childhood. And thus each person has the potential of negativity that needs to be uprooted. And this is an interesting concept. And there is also the aspect of correcting one's qualities in its root. להכניס את מידת התשוקה והאהבה, לאהבת השם ודבקות השם. To infuse that quality, the challenging quality, let's say absent-mindedness, laziness, anger, impatience, cruelty, violence, easily prone to seduction, maybe your addictions, you need immediate pleasures. You can't delay gratification. On one hand, we can uproot those. We can change those. Or on the other hand, we can infuse those with the energy of deep desire and love for God. Just bring in a spiritual energy into the traits that are tripping us. And thus we take that quality and we elevate it to its source in God. That any internal challenge, any internal quality that needs to be fixed, the ultimate fixing is when we lift that up back to its root in the divine. It's a very interesting theology and cosmology here, telling us that whatever challenges we have, those are also rooted in God. Those are also rooted in the spiritual. So if we take that to its source, if we go right into the thick of the challenge, we will eventually reach a source in the great love where there is no challenge. It's profound. But the beginning is with the uprooting of the negativity, the uprooting, the removing, the subduing. Why? Because Menashe is the Bechor. Menashe is the firstborn. So that is the beginning of the work. We start the work by working on our negative traits and trying to modify, uproot, and eliminate. But the purpose, the end game is Ephraim, the younger son, who is the energy of fixing a trait in its source, it's in its divine source. And now he's the Summer is bringing a teaching from the Baal Shem Tov, as the Baal Shem Tov said, there is no negativity or challenge that comes from the heavens. When a person has a bad desire or challenging impulse, one should remember that the Holy One has gifted a person with that trait, with that negative trait, but it was gifted in its positive aspect. But just when that quality falls from its original function, as a vehicle, as a means of connecting spiritually, then it becomes a negative impulse. So originally the trait that is tripping you was given to you as a gift in its positive aspect as a vehicle for spiritual connection. ורק בנפול המידה מתעוררים על ידי זה תאוות רעות, והתיקון הוא להשיבה למקורה. The ultimate fixing of this condition is to take this trait and reconnect it, return it to its source in the divine. ולכן טען יוסף שהקדימה היא למנשה. That's why Joseph claimed, and he argued, he critiqued his father, שהקדימה היא למנשה, that first Menashe, the older one, should receive the blessing. שההתחלה היא בהכירת הרע, because you got to start with eliminating the negative. אמנם יעקב אמר לו שאף כי הכירת הרע היא גם מידה גדולה. But Jacob agreed, said, yes, you need to start there. אחיו הקטן יגדל ממנו, but his younger brother will be greater than the older, because the ultimate purpose, התכלית היא להכניסה בקדושה בתשוקה להשם יתברך. The ultimate purpose is to take whatever quality one is working on and transform it into holiness. שאם במידה של הכירת הרע צריך לעמול בכל מידה בפני עצמה, if through uprooting the negative, one needs to work on each trait in oneself separately, but the path of elevating a trait towards love and craving for the holy elevates everything else. It's much greater in its power and its potential. That is why the younger here will be greater than the older. As I read this, what comes to mind is how challenging personal growth and spiritual work is, and how treacherous a terrain it can be, but how the potential for being where one wants to go is there in every moment. We can have our sight on the day when I finally work through this trauma and I finally manage my addictions, and I finally manage my anger, and I finally with the help of my therapist and my rabbi and my friends and my spiritual group and my minyan and my or yoga class or wherever you're doing your work, one day I'm going to conquer all these challenges. But the option to dip into the source of divine love that is right in front of my face, leap in, be in the moment that seems elusive in the future, is right there for us. I want to wish you a wonderful Shabbat and a spiritual path that's full of opportunities for bliss and for realization of divine love and desire at any given moment. And with that, shalom for now. Please subscribe by clicking the red button below. Like, share, comment. It is great to have you here. See you later.